Ladies and gents, my name is Xander, aka Diaside, and this one I got a surprise for you because we're about to see how you can 2-tap 8 different ways with this beauty, and it's called the True Prophecy. That's right, Diaslayers, you heard me right, as I said 8 different ways. Just so that we're all on the same page, stop, hammer time, because that bad boy right there did 144 points of damage. 144 points of damage! I mean, I can't believe when I first saw this and I was like, oh my gosh, how the heck is this happening? We gotta find this out, we gotta do some tests. And so that's precisely what we're going to do in conjunction with looking at something like, say, the Duke MK44 and the god rolls associated with that. Now, some of you might be asking the question, well, why are we looking at the Duke? And that's because the Duke, I love that thing, but unfortunately, it's gonna get sunset come beyond light. But yet the True Prophecy is not, and something else that isn't going to get sunset is the Criminal's Dagger, and so we're going to take a quick little peek at that thing as well, looking at these weapons' TTK factors, their base stats, how all these different ways of 2-tapping can be done, and of course, some private match tests, looking at range, bullet magnetism, bloom, recoil direction, and all that kind of fun jazz. The only thing left to do is just to simply sit back, relax, take a chill pill, maybe grab some popcorn, and then visit the notification button, and let's jump right into the video. As I put all the video timestamps right there on screen, what you're then going to notice is that I've got a lot of stuff covered, so if you want to focus on one thing or the other, then by all means, be my guest and skip to that part of the video. But the first thing that I want to cover first is really how this thing can 2-tap, and it revolves around one or rather 2 perks, and the best way to see that is by showing you my rolls on both the True Prophecy and the Duke. First up is the True Prophecy, and this thing has Rampage, Overflow, Accurized Rounds, Fast Draw HCS, a Stability Masterwork, and a Rampage spec mod. Coming up after that is the Duke MK44, and this thing happens to have killclip, high caliber rounds, rapid hit, fast draw HCS, a range masterwork, and a counterbalance mod. Before we go any further, I just want to reiterate one more time that the reason why I'm making this video is because the Duke MK44 is getting sunset come beyond light, and thus we need a replacement, and that just so happens to be the True Prophecy or that of the Criminal's Dagger. I suggest these 2 weapons because they can both 2-tap in a wide variety of ways, but the way in which the True Prophecy can do so is via Rampage, as that's the only damage buffing perk that it has, but the Criminal's Dagger can have killclip, and thus it can 2-tap that way, making them both phenomenal replacements for the Duke MK44. Now I'll get into all the god rolls for the True Prophecy later in the video, but for right now what I just want to focus on is some TTK stats. The first thing you probably already realized is that this thing is then doing 91 for a crit and 50 for a body. Because the Duke is in the exact same archetype as the True Prophecy, they're then going to be doing the same damage output and thus have the same TTK factors. Just so that we're all crystal clear, I'm going to put that side-by-side comparison analysis right there on screen, and you guys can see that both of them have an optimal TTK at 1.07 seconds and a body shot TTK at 1.6 seconds, with specifically those values at a Guardian with 5 resilience, aka 191 points of health. 2 things that I want to briefly mention is that the Duke and the True Prophecy can actually down a Guardian at 10 resilience with 2 crits in one body and still get that same TTK factor at 1.07 seconds. And the second thing that I want to mention is that every single one of my computations is done in a frame-by-frame analysis, and that's why you guys just saw that the weapon's rate of fire is at 112.5, even though the game says it's at 110. With this knowledge, I got a hunch that you're probably asking yourselves, okay Xander, well, this is great, but 1.07 seconds is a detestable TTK. And to you guys I say, you're 110% right, as that kind of optimal TTK is the definition of fluff cabbage trash shenanigans. And you don't want that, I don't want that, nobody wants that. But the way in which these things can 2-tap is via Rampage and killclip. Just so that there is zero confusion, I'm going to put all the TTK stats right there on screen, and you're then going to see Rampage times 1 on the left, Rampage times 3 in the center, and the Duke with killclip on the right hand side. My guess is that you're seeing the optimal TTK at 0.53 seconds. That's right, it's at 0.53 seconds, which is almost half a second flat. But the main thing to take away from this is that damage output. With Rampage times 1, it's 100. With Rampage times 3, it's 120. And with killclip on the Duke MK44, it's 121 per crit. And seeing that information, you probably might be asking yourselves the question, well, why am I not seeing the stats for Rampage times 2? The answer to this, my friends, is because you actually don't need to get a single kill with either the Duke or the True Prophecy to actually 2-tap, and rather all you need is charged with light times 1. And when this is the case, rampage times 2 and charged with light times 1 damage is going to be the exact same thing. And you guys can see all those stats right there on screen. With the rampage times 2 stats on the left and charged with light stats on the right, you're then seeing that their damage output is 109 per crit, my friends. And that's just craziness, because this then means to you that all you simply need is to get charged with light times 1 and not even get a single kill, and the True Prophecy or the Duke or even the Criminal's Dagger can 2-tap you just like that. Now if you guys thought that that was good, oh boy, things are about to get crispy, spicy, and juicy up in here, because what I'm about to show you right now is rampage times 1, times 2, and times 3, all with charged with light, and that critical damage output is just astronomically insane, and to really see it, there it is right there on screen. And going from left to right, charged with light times 1 and rampage times 1 is then doing 119 per crit, but rampage times 2 and charged with light times 1 is then going to do 131 per crit. But then finally we happen to have rampage times 3 and charged with light times 1 to then do 144 per crit, and I'm just like, no way, this isn't happening, it's not possible, but oh yeah baby, it's possible, and this then means to you, the enemy guardians just might become a little bit salty. I know I said a lot of information in a very short amount of time, so I just want to recap as to all the 8 different ways in which this True Prophecy can actually 2-tap somebody. 1. Rampage times 1. 2. Rampage times 2. 3. Rampage times 3. 4. Charge with light by itself. 5. Charge with light and rampage times 1. 6. Charge with light and rampage times 2. 7. Charge with light and rampage times 3. And 8. Rampage times 1 doing 100 points of damage and a simple typical bullet at 91 points of damage to then still down a guardian at 5 resilience. Now the best way that I found to become charged with light is by using one of 5 perks, or rather one of 4 perks, and the 5th perk is actually bugged, but don't worry, I'll discuss that in just a couple of seconds. The first perk can be found on my Void helmet, and it's called Stacks on Stacks. Stacks on Stacks allows one to gain an extra stack of charge with light for every stack you gain at the cost of negative 10 recovery. Ensuing this is my gauntlets, and this happens to have Taking Charge, and Taking Charge allows one to become charged with light simply by picking up orbs of light. Next up is my 3rd perk, and that is Powerful Friends, and Powerful Friends allows one's nearby allies to become charged with light once you become charged with light yourself. Ensuing that Powerful Friends perk is High Energy Fire, and it allows one to gain bonus weapon damage while charged with light. Those 4 perks that I just showed you, my friends, is exactly how I was becoming charged with light throughout this entire video. There was one other perk that would have allowed me to do so even more often, but unfortunately it's bugged right now and I have no idea why, but it's called Precision Frame. As I show you that perk's definition right there on screen, it's then going to allow one to become charged with light by rapidly defeating combatants with precision kills from bows, hand cannons, and scout rifles. Think about it like this. The way in which this perk is supposed to work is that as soon as you happen to get 1 kill followed by a 2nd kill that are both precision kills, aka double kills, then you're going to become charged with light every single time that you do so. But unfortunately this wasn't the case and I have no idea why. I tried using this perk in many matches and for some reason it wasn't working, so if you know the reason as to why this is bugged, then by all means, please oh please let me know down in the comment section below as to why this is the case. But if this perk wasn't bugged, then I can 110% guarantee you that this Precision Frame perk would have been gorgeous and truly outstanding in so many ways, and you would have been 2-tapping with that 144 damage that much more frequently. However, as good as Rampage is, it's not good enough by itself, and so it needs some kind of supporting perks that then make it that much better, and the best way in which I can describe this to you is by some other phenomenal perks that I recommend on the True Prophecy, and those perks you can see right there on screen. In the first column we got Fast Draw, True Sight, and Hitmark HCS, but the second column then pertains to something like say Tactical Mag, Drop Mag, Accurized Rounds, and Flare Magwell, instead by the third column to then be Overflow, Rangefinder, and Opening Shot, and finally the one and only perk in that fourth column to 2-tap, Rampage. If you're looking at 2-tap Guardians over and over again, obliterating them just like Exodia, then the best way in which you can do that is by having on Rampage and Overflow. As soon as you happen to go over one special ammo piece, you're then going to proc Overflow and it's going to give 18 bullets back into the magazine every single time, and potentially 19 bullets. What that then allows you to do is go once again from engagement to engagement to engagement, never ever having to reload. The other thing that I want to say is that Rampage with rangefinder and maybe something like say a drop mag is still phenomenal, as that's then going to give you excellent increased range at longer distances, then get more 2-taps, but at the same time, you're still going to be able to get lots of bullets back into the magazine very quickly via drop mag. So now that you kind of know the two god rolls in which I really want you to get, what I want to show you next is a side-by-side comparison analysis of the True Prophecy and the Duke in their base stats, and you guys can see those right there on screen, seeing that pretty much all of them are almost not even differing by less than a factor of 10. This then means to you that these two weapons are pretty much acting identically in every single one of these categories, and so if you're looking for that ideal replacement for the Duke, then this True Prophecy is easily the way to go. But I'll also mention yet again that the Criminal's Dagger is phenomenal if you like to happen to have Killclip or a Rampage, and for some Guardians that's more your playstyle and cup of tea, so by all means be my guest, maybe try and get something like say a drop mag with Killclip on that beauty, and if that's the case, then you're set. Just to prove to you even more so that these two weapons base stats are functioning almost identically, what I want to do is I want to go into a private match and test each one of these two weapons' optimal effective range. As I take out my Darcy, I'm then measuring 27 meters, and as I do so, my True Prophecy is then doing 91 per crit as we would expect. Going back just 1 meter to 28 meters, we're then seeing a little bit of a damage reduction for that crit to be at 87 per crit. Doing this process one more time, we're then going to see that the Diff Mark 44 is doing 91 per crit at 27 meters. Going back just a smidge to 28 meters, we're then seeing that the Duke is then doing 90 per crit, and this then means to us that both the True Prophecy and the Diff Mark 44 have the exact same optimal effective range at 27 meters. Despite that, I will say that these two weapons' damage falloff is going to be significant after 27 meters, but also keep in mind that you only need this weapon to do 68 per crit in order for it to still 3-tap Guardians at longer ranges than even this. When you then associate the damage increase from something like say Charge with Light or Rampage or Killclip, then we're really going to see a phenomenal increase in this overall weapon's effective range, and come next season, oh yeah, now we're talking, because Bungie has already said these things are going to get a range buff, and when that happens, look out because we're going to be seeing a ton more 2-taps, and I'm all for it. Now something else that some Guardians know a lot about, and maybe some don't know actually anything about, is that range is directly correlated to a weapon's bullet magnetism. And to really see this, what I wanted to do for each one of these two weapons is do range test cases at 10 meters and 25 meters to see their bullet magnetisms respectively. As I speed up all these test cases, you're then going to see that at 10 meters, on the right hand side of the head, both the True Prophecy and the Duke land body shots outside the shoulder, but the True Prophecy lands a crit directly above the shoulder, whereas the Duke lands a crit just inside to the left of the shoulder. On the top side of the head, here we pretty much see results that we would expect, as each is then going to perform pretty much identically as both land crits just below the enemy Guardian's shield health bar. And going back to 25 meters, we're then going to see some likewise results, as on the right hand side of the head, both the hand cannons land crits and bodies far outside of a typical hitbox, but the Duke gives cause for concern because on the first attempt it didn't land its shots, but on the second time around it did. Curious, I know, but as far as the top side of the head goes, the True Prophecy was only able to land crits inside the Guardian's health bar, but the Duke was actually able to land crits above the health bar, and that right there is significant. In being extremely picky, what this pretty much tells you just the same way that it tells me, is that both of these two weapons are going to act beautifully in both 10 meters and 25 meters, but the True Prophecy is going to act a tiny bit better at 10 meters, whereas the Duke is going to act better at 25 meters. Now, if you happen to get your hands on a Criminal's Dagger with Killclip and something like say a drop mag, then that's going to act almost identically to what this True Prophecy does and the Duke does, even though I didn't do the test cases for them, just know that they're going to be around this exact same ballpark. Throughout all the test cases that we've seen thus far, one could argue that what we've seen is actually fairly important, but one could also argue that we haven't even seen the most vital aspect about all these tests, and that is the weapon's bloom factors. Pretty much, you want to have as little bloom as possible in going from shot to shot to shot, as that's then going to make the weapon that much more accurate and thus be able to 2-tap that much more frequently. And to really see this, what we're going to do is see a side-by-side comparison analysis in a private match, and you guys can see that this very second. On the left we got the True Prophecy, and on the right we got the Duke, and as I zoom in, you're then going to see that after just 3 shots, each weapon's hipfire tick mark reticle does not return to the circular hipfire reticle, meaning that after 3 shots are up, inaccuracy and inconsistency is going to go skyrocketing through the roof, and this is just disgusting, despicable, and truly detestable. In other simpler terms, land those first 3 shots, or else you may never ever get the chance to 2-tap anyone, period. With that final statement, you now have all the information necessary to make the right accurate choices and the right appropriate builds as to how you want to then 2-tap Guardians pretty much left, right, up, down, and make them say, what the heck did I just get destroyed by? And I won't lie, that right there, my friends, is such a gratifying feeling whenever you get that 2-tap. It's like a wonderful rush of dopamine, and I could do it all day long. So by all means, let me know what you guys think about this stuff down in the comment section below, whether or not you're going to 2-tap 8 different ways or one way or the other, whether or not you're going to get that God roll or 2 God rolls for the True Prophecy, as well as the God roll for the Criminal's Dagger, and all that kind of jazz. And no matter what you guys say, you always know that I'm going to respect your opinions, and that's something that I can guarantee. Lastly, be sure to watch the newest, check the latest, and share, comment, like on social media because you are the greatest. That's pretty much all I've got for you as of right now, Diaslayers, and as always, GG TNT.